Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
First of all, I would like to thank UGC Human Resource Development Center of Gujarat University for providing me this opportunity. Through that, I can able to connect with you, and I am going to take the session on the fundamental of the qualitative research. I would also like to thank Professor Dr. Jagdish Joshi for providing me this opportunity. I just share my screen. So basically, today I am going to discuss on fundamental of the qualitative research. Basically, two type of research which is there. First is qualitative research. Second one is quantitative research. So basically, if we talk about qualitative research, then basically when we are having large amount of non-numeric kind of data. If we talk about non-numeric type of data, then it is customer review, customer feedback, customer opinion, social media data, all are example of the non-numeric data. We are having large amount of data, and if we want to analyze those non-numeric kind of a data, for that we can go for the qualitative research. If we talk about quantitative research, then basically the quantitative research that we can able to use when we are having the numeric kind of data, when we are having a data in a number form, and if we want to analyze those kind of a data, for that we can go for the quantitative research. Basically we have already discussed about if we want to analyze the quantitative research, then for that we can able to use the different quantitative analytics technique, like we can use t-test, we can use z-test, we can use de novo, we can use regression. So many different type of quantitative research technique which is available. In today's session we are going to discuss about if we are having open-ended question, if we are having qualitative type of data, then how we can able to analyze those kind of a data. These are the topic that we are going to discuss in this particular session. So first we are going to discuss about what is the meaning of qualitative research. After that we will discuss about different methods of qualitative research. We will discuss about data collection technique. Then we are going to discuss about how to code the qualitative data, and we are also discuss about the software which can be used for the qualitative data. So these are the topic that we are going to discuss in today's session. First we are going to discuss about qualitative research. So basically if we talk about qualitative research, then basically it is defined as a research method that focuses on obtaining data through open-ended and conversational communication. So that we have discussed, if we are having data in a customer feedback form, if we are having customer suggestions, if we have taken the interview of the customer, if we have conducted the focus group of the customer, and if we want to analyze those data, for that we can go for the qualitative research. For example, we want to understand the customer feedback and opinion towards the McDonald's. For that, maybe it is possible the researcher is interacting with the customer and try to understand the opinion of customer towards the McDonald's. Or maybe it is possible the researcher has conducted the focus group and try to understand the opinion of customer towards the McDonald's. So basically here we are going to ask open-ended questions. Here we are having a data in a non-numeric form, and we want to analyze those type of data. For that we can go for the qualitative research. So qualitative research, for that we can use, either we can take the interview, either we can conduct the focus group, either we can use the observation as a technique, either we can able to ask the open-ended questions to the customer. These all are the different qualitative research method is available that we will discuss in detail in further session. Next, we are going to discuss about the characteristics of the qualitative research method. So first characteristics of a qualitative research method is they collect the data at a glance and in real time where the participants are experiencing problem. So basically, if we talk about the observation as a method, basically in that case we are going to observe the phenomenon as it occur. So basically this is the first characteristics of the qualitative research, where we are going to collect the data in a real time as it occur. Second characteristics of the qualitative research, researcher collect the data in different forms such as interviews, observations and documents. So basically through qualitative research we can able to collect the data in a form of interview, or through observation we can able to collect the data, or data can be available in a form of the documents. So if we talk about the qualitative research method, in qualitative research method either the data can be available in text form, either it can be available in image form, either it can be available in audio form, either it can be available in video form. These are the different format in that the qualitative data is available. There are so many software which is available, through that we can able to analyze the qualitative data, whether it is available in text form, video form, audio form or image form. If we talk about the third characteristics of the qualitative research method, then it is work towards solving the complex issue. So basically when we want to analyze the qualitative research method, qualitative research data, we are going to break down the data into different codes, and after that we are going to jumble this code into the different categories. So basically if we talk about it, work towards solving the complex issue by breaking down into meaningful interference that are easy to read and understand for everyone. Next is allow people to build trust on the researcher. So these all are the characteristics of the qualitative research method that we have discussed. First characteristics, it is we can able to observe it in real time. Second characteristics, data is available in different form, maybe it can be in form of interview, in observation or document. Third characteristic is we are going to break down the data into different codes. After that we are going to jumble them into different categories, and based upon that we are going to analyze the qualitative research data. And fourth one is it allow people to build trust on the researcher. So these all are the characteristics of the qualitative research method. Next we are going to discuss about the qualitative research methods. If we want to analyze the qualitative data, we are having this different type of the research method which is available. So one by one we are going to discuss about the ethnographic research, then narrative research, then phenomenological research, action research and the grounded theory research that we are going to discuss. First, we are going to discuss about the ethnographic research. So, if we talk about ethnographic research, then basically it involves studying a particular culture group to get a clear understanding of the belief system and the practice. So basically when we want to understand the culture of some group, or we want to understand their lifestyle, or we want to understand the behavior of the customer, for that we can able to go for the ethnographic research. So basically this is one example of ethnographic research is given. First one is, for example, if I want to observe the culture and practice of people living in far-flung areas away from modernization. So basically here I want to understand the lifestyle, I want to understand the belief system, I want to understand their morals, their values, who are staying in rural kind of the areas. So for that, basically here our aim is to understand culture, here our aim is to understand lifestyle, here our aim is to understand the belief system. That's why it is example of a ethnographic research. If we want to do this, so we can able to use the interview as a method, we can able to use the observation as a method, and we can able to use the immersion as a method. So basically these all are the different methods that we can able to use to understand the culture, lifestyle, belief, moral, and the values. Through that we can able to understand their culture, their belief, and their lifestyle. So this is basically the ethnographic research. Basically it is used when we want to understand the belief system, when we want to understand the culture, when we want to understand the values, when we want to understand the lifestyle. For that we can able to go for ethnographic research. Second, we are going to discuss which is of the phenomenological research. So basically if we talk about the phenomenological research, then basically it is examine the human experience regarding a certain phenomenon. So basically when we want to understand the experience of the group, right, when we want to understand what kind of experience this particular group is having, for that we can able to go for the phenomenological research. So basically the example of the phenomenological research is we can able to recognize the strategy used by the foreign students to adapt to new language learning environment. So basically here we need require to understand the experience of the foreign students about the new learning environment, or about the learning of the new language. For that we can go for the phenomenological research. So basically when we want to understand the experience of the group, for that we can go for the phenomenological research. Basically for the phenomenological research we can use this technique to collect the data. First is interview and second one is a focus group. So if we want to do the phenomenological research, the researcher is going to have the one-to-one interview with the students and try to understand their experience, what kind of experience, what kind of problem that they are facing, what kind of strategies that they have adopted, right, whether they are facing any kind of problem or not. So basically the if we talk about interview as a method, in that case the researcher is discussing with the foreign student and try to understand their experience, struggle, and what kind of strategies that they have adopted. Another option which is possible, which is of the focus group method, that researcher can able to use. In this particular focus group method, the researcher try to discuss among the group of the people and try to understand their experience. Based upon that, the researcher is able to understand the experience of foreign student, able to understand what kind of the problem that they have faced, and they can able to understand what kind of the strategy which is adopted by the foreign students. So this has come under the phenomenological research. Next we are going to discuss about the grounded theory. So if we talk about the grounded theory, so basically in that case a researcher tried to construct a new theory through collecting and the analysis of a data. So basically grounded theory approach, researcher is try to develop or construct the new theory which is based upon the data collected by the researcher. It helps to offer an explanation about the main concern of the participants involved in the research. And in that case, basically, we can use the interview, fieldwork, observation, and the focus group. So basically, in the grounded theory approach, basically whatever the qualitative data has been collected by the researcher is going to gone through all the data which is collected by the qualitative research, and based upon that the new ideas or the new concept which is which is that we can say that which is come up in the mind of the researcher, and based upon that researcher try to find out why it is happening, what is the reason behind it, behind this particular things, and researcher try to develop the new theory. This is come under the grounded theory. So basically in grounded theory approach, जो डेटा रिसर्चर ने कलेक्ट किया है, रिसर्चर उसको एनालाइज करेगा, उसको कोड करेगा, उसमें से कुछ नया, कुछ इनोवेटिव उसके दिमाग में आएगा, न्यू आइडिया विच इज कम अप इन अ माइंड ऑफ द रिसर्चर, एंड रिसर्चर ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट और कंस्ट्रक्ट अ न्यू थियोरी. दिस इज कम अंडर द ग्राउंडेड थियोरी अप्रोच. Next, we are going to discuss about the narrative research. So basically, if we talk about the narrative research, so basically in that case, the research participant construct a story and narrative from their own personal experience. Basically, narrative kind of research में ऐसा होगा, the first, the participants try to tell the story about their life. Right, and after that researcher interpret the construction of that narrative. So narrative research is basically the two-step research. In a first step, participants वो खुद की लाइफ के बारे में स्टोरी बताएगा, एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करेगा, एंड द रिसर्चर इंटरप्रेट एंड कंस्ट्रक्ट for that particular narrative. So this is a part of the narrative research. If we talk about action research, so basically in action research, it is an approach in which the action researcher and client collaborate in the diagnosis of the problem and in the development of a solution based on the diagnosis. So in that case, if we talk about action research, in that case the client and researcher are working together. They find out a problem, what is a problem in a company, that they will find out. Based upon the problem, they are going to find out the solution also. So this is a part of the action research where client and the researcher working together find out the problem and diagnosis and find out the solution of this particular problem. So this is come under the action research. So up to this, we have discussed about the different type of the qualitative research method. Right, in that case, we have discussed about ethnographic research. So ethnographic research is basically about the culture study. Phenomenological research, the phenomenological research is based upon the experience study. If we talk about the grounded theory research, then grounded theory research is basically related to whenever researcher want to construct or try to develop the new theory. In action research, the researcher and the executive working together try to find out a problem and also find out a solution for this particular problem. This is under action research. And in narrative research, basically it is two-step research. First, the participant tell the story about that particular life, and based upon that the researcher is going to interpret the story of the participants. So this is all about the different qualitative research method. Next, we are going to discuss about the data collection methods. So basically, if we want to collect the qualitative data, then how we can able to collect the qualitative data, that we are going to discuss. So basically, if we want to collect the qualitative data, we can able to use the different method for the data collection. So first method that we can able to use, which is a focus group. Second, we can able to use depth interview. Third one that we can able to use, which is of document review, and the fourth one that we can able to use, which is of the observation. So these all are the different data collection method that we can able to use. First, we are going to discuss about the focus group. So basically, it is a focus group is a research technique used to collect data through group interaction. So basically here, basically the researcher is going to discuss with a group and try to collect the data. It is same like the group discussion where the 8 to 12 members are involved. they are discussing on a same topic. Group type should be the homogeneous in nature. They are interacting with each other. Researcher is going to observe and going to record the discussion among the various member of the group and try to understand what kind of the topic which is discussed by the group members. So basically it used to identify and explore how people think, behave, and they throw light on why, what, and how questions. So basically here I would like to discuss the example of the Ahmedabad Mirror. So basically Ahmedabad Mirror is a leading English newspaper. Ahmedabad Mirror want to conduct the focus group and they try to understand the customer feedback and the opinion and customer preference towards Ahmedabad Mirror. So basically they have conducted the different focus group. First focus group they have conducted for the people who prefer to read the Ahmedabad Mirror as a newspaper. So basically they focus group has been conducted जो लोग अहमदाबाद मिरर पढ़ना प्रीफर करते हैं, ऐसे 8 to 12 मेंबर्स के बीच में डिस्कशन होगा. They are discussing on why they prefer, what kind of content that they like, right, what kind of content they prefer to read, and based upon the discussion the Ahmedabad Mirror researcher is able to understand why people prefer Ahmedabad Mirror newspaper. After that, the second focus group that they have conducted for the people who prefer to read English newspaper but they don't prefer to read the Ahmedabad Mirror as a newspaper. So based upon this discussion, Ahmedabad Mirror is able to understand what is the reason why people don't prefer to read Ahmedabad Mirror. Whether the content is a problem, whether the price is a problem. So they can able to understand the reason why people do not prefer to read the Ahmedabad Mirror. Maybe they can able to conduct the third focus group जहाँ पे the discussion among the people who prefer to read the Gujarati newspaper, they don't prefer to read the English newspaper. So based upon the discussion, Ahmedabad Mirror or the researcher able to understand why people prefer the Gujarati newspaper and why they don't prefer to read the English newspaper. So they try to understand the reason behind people don't prefer to read the English newspaper. So this is just one example how the Ahmedabad Mirror has conducted the focus group and able to understand the customer opinion, their feedback and their preferences. If we talk about the characteristics of the focus group, then basically group size for the focus group should be 8 to 12 members are there. Group composition should be the homogeneous in nature. So in that example we have discussed one focus group between the people or the customer who prefer to read Ahmedabad Mirror newspaper. So they are homogeneous in a nature. Second focus group between the people who prefer to read English newspaper but they don't prefer to read the Ahmedabad Mirror. And the third focus group between the people who prefer to read Gujarati newspaper but they don't prefer to read English newspaper. If we talk about the physical setting, then it should be very relaxed, it should be very informal. When we are having a relaxed environment, when we are having informal environment, people prefer to participate. If we are having the formal kind of the environment, people are not ready to participate. People will not open up. So whenever we are going to conduct the focus group, our environment should be very relaxed. It should be very informal. If we talk about the duration of the focus group, then it should be between 1 to 3 hours. For the recording, we can able to use video cassettes, we can able to use video tabs, and moderator require those kind of characteristics. Moderator require the observational skill, interpersonal skill, communication skills, those kind of the skills which is required in moderator. Next, we are going to move further towards the variation in focus group. So next, we are going to discuss about the different type of the focus group. If we talk about the different type of the focus group, we are having different type of focus group. We are having two-way focus group, we are having dual moderator. Then next we are going to discuss about dualing moderator. So first we are going to discuss about the two-way focus group. So if we talk about the two-way focus group, then basically from name itself explain the meaning and we can able to understand the meaning. Here basically two group are there. One group is observing the behavior of others, and after that they are discussing among themselves. So here if we talk about the example of the two-way focus group, one group of patient is there, one group of doctor which is there. First पेशेंट का जो ग्रुप होगा उनके बीच में डिस्कशन होगा एंड द डॉक्टर का जो ग्रुप होगा द डॉक्टर ग्रुप इज ऑब्जर्विंग द डिस्कशन अमॉन्ग द पेशेंट ग्रुप एंड आफ्टर दैट द डॉक्टर ग्रुप विल डिस्कस रिलेटेड टू ट्रीटमेंट फॉर द पेशेंट. So this is come under the two-way focus group जहाँ पे two groups are there. One group first एक ग्रुप के बीच में डिस्कशन होगा, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल पेशेंट ग्रुप के बीच में डिस्कशन होगा, डॉक्टर का जो ग्रुप है उनका बिहेवियर है वो ऑब्जर्व करेगा एंड आफ्टर दैट डॉक्टर के ग्रुप के बीच में डिस्कशन होगा एंड दे ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट, दे ट्राई टू डिस्कस अबाउट द ट्रीटमेंट. This is known as a two-way focus group. If we talk about dual moderator group, dual moderator again it meaning is that two moderator is there. So focus group is conducted by two moderator. One moderator basically is responsible for the smooth flow of the session and the second moderator is responsible for the specific issue or the topic should be covered. So this is come under dual moderator group. If we talk about dualing moderator group, again in dualing moderator group, two groups are there, two moderators are there. Basically two moderators are taking opposite side. One moderator take the positive side and second moderator will take the negative side. So this is all about dualing moderator group. Next we are going to discuss about respondent moderator group. So here one executive or manager from the respondent side or client side will participate. If we talk about respondent moderator group, then it is a kind of the role play kind of. So in that case, for the temporary period of time, respondent become moderator and the moderator become the participant. Basically the moderator asks selected participants to play the role of moderator temporary to improve the group dynamics. So यहाँ पे ऐसा होगा कि temporary period of time के लिए respondent है वो moderator का group रोल प्ले करेगा एंड जो मॉडरेटर है द मॉडरेटर विल बिकम द रिस्पोंडेंट फॉर अ टेम्पररी पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. सेकेंड वन इज अ क्लाइंट पार्टिसिपेंट ग्रुप. सो क्लाइंट पार्टिसिपेंट ग्रुप का मीनिंग है द वन मेंबर फ्रॉम द क्लाइंट विल पार्टिसिपेट इन अ फोकस ग्रुप. So basically if we are conducting the focus group for the Ahmedabad Mirror, then the one manager or the executive from the Ahmedabad Mirror will participate in a focus group discussion. This is known as a client participant group. If we talk about mini group, then basically the group consists of moderator and only 4 to 5 respondents. So here the group size is limited to 4 to 5 only. If we talk about telesession group, then telesession group basically here it is a focus group session by phone using the conference call technique. And if we talk about the online focus group, then meaning of online focus group is we are going to conduct the focus group through internet. This is known as an online focus group. So here we have discussed the different type of the focus group. We have discussed two-way focus group where two group are there. One group is observing the behavior of others, and after that the discussion among the second group is there. Dual moderator group, two moderators are there. One moderator is responsible for smooth flow of the discussion. Second moderator is responsible that all the topics should be covered. If we talk about dueling moderator group, in dueling moderator group, two moderators are there. Two moderators are taking the opposite side. One moderator is taking positive, second is taking negative. If we talk about respondent moderator group, so temporary period of time, respondent will play the role of the moderator and moderator will play the role of the respondent. If we talk about client participant group, so one member from the client side will participate in a focus group. If we talk about mini group, then group size is only 4 to 5 members are discussing among with each other. If we talk about telesession group, then discussion through the telephone. And if we talk about last one is the online focus group, then the discussion through internet. So up to this, we have discussed about what is focus group. We have discussed the characteristics of the focus group, and we have discussed the different type of the focus group. Next, we are going to discuss about the depth interview method. So basically, if we talk about the depth interview as a method, so here it is. Depth interview is the one-to-one interaction between the participant and the researcher. So basically, depth interview, it is an unstructured interview method, right? It allows for the collection of a large amount of information about behavior, attitude, and the perception of the interviewees. So here in that case, one-to-one discussion between researcher and respondent is possible. So this is about the depth interview. If we talk about the observation as a method, so basically there are some type of the research is there. In that case, only we can able to use the observation as a method. Let's say, for example, if I want to understand child behavior, if I want to understand bird behavior, if I want to understand animal behavior, for that we can able to use the observation as a method. If we talk about the observation method, so basically two type of observation which is there. One is structured observation is there, second one is unstructured observation is there. If we talk about structured observation, then in that case researcher is knowing what are the things that researcher has to observe. So if we talk about structured observation, so researchers specify in detail what is to be observed. So basically in structured observation, researcher को पता है कि उसको क्या चीजें observe करनी है. For example, if we talk about, let's say for example, if we talk about the inventory count, so basically the researcher are knowing they require to count how many Maggi which is available in retail store. So here the researcher is aware what they need to observe. This is come under the structured observation. If we talk about unstructured observation, then researcher is not aware what they need to observe. For example, if researcher need to understand the child behavior, so this is not clear to the researcher what exactly that researcher need to observe. When the child is playing, that they need to observe. When the child is crying, that they need to observe. Or whether the child is sleeping, that they need to observe. This is not clear. So this is example of the unstructured observation. If we talk about another two type of observation, then one is disguised observation and second one is undisguised observation. If we talk about disguised observation, then it is an indirect observation. If we talk about undisguised observation, then it is a direct observation. So first, if we are going to discuss about disguised observation, in that case, respondent are unaware what they somebody is going to observing them. This is known as a disguised observation. So basically, let's say for example, if a researcher is observing the shopper's behavior, in that case the respondent are unaware that somebody is observing that behavior. So this is a part of the disguised observation. So if we talk about disguised observation ka meaning है researcher is not knowing, researcher are unaware, somebody is observing that behavior, then it is a part of the disguised observation. If we talk about undisguised observation, then in undisguised observation, respondent are aware that somebody is observing that behavior. Respondent are aware they are under observation. This is known as an undisguised observation. So basically, we have discussed structured observation, unstructured observation, disguised observation, and undisguised observation. Again, I am repeating structured, meaning of structured. रिसर्चर को पता है क्या चीजें उसको ऑब्जर्व करनी है. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड, रिसर्चर को नहीं पता है उसको क्या चीजें ऑब्जर्व करनी है. दिस इज नोन एज अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट डिस्गाइज्ड, respondent are aware somebody is observing, respondent are unaware somebody is observing their behavior. If you talk about undisguised, respondent are aware, respondent को पता है somebody is observing the behavior. This is known as undisguised observation. Next, we are going to discuss about the classification of observation method. So next we are going to discuss, if we want to do the observation, then what are the different methods that we can able to use for the observation. So first we can able to use personal observation, we can able to use mechanical observation, we can able to use audit, we can able to use content analysis, and we can able to use trace analysis. These all are the different observation method that we can able to use. So first, if we talk about the personal observation, so here name itself explain the meaning of the personal observation. So यहाँ पे the researcher personally present at a place and observing the behavior of the respondent. This is known as a personal observation. For example, if researcher want to understand the shopping behavior of a customer, then researcher will visit the any retail outlets like D-Mart or Big Bazaar or V-Mart, and researcher is observing the behavior of the customer. This is come under the personal observation method. If we talk about mechanical observation method, then in mechanical observation, researcher is using some kind of mechanical instrument. Maybe they can able to use psychogalvanometer, they can able to use eye tracking monitor, they can use pupillometer, they can able to use the voice speech analysis. These all are the different instrument researcher can able to use, and based upon that researcher try to observe the behavior of the respondent. If we talk about eye tracking monitor, so basically in that case kind of the that we can say that instrument which is there and which will monitor the movement of the eyes. If we talk about the voice speech analysis, then basically this instrument is measuring the frequency of the voice. So this kind of the different mechanical instrument that we can able to use, and through that the researcher try to observe the behavior of the respondent. Another method that we can able to use, which is of the audit. If we talk about the audit is a method, audit means it is a verifying. So here researcher is verifying the things. Inventory count is example of the audit method. If we talk about the content analysis, so basically here the researcher is going to observe the content. Here the researcher is observing what kind of the words, what kind of the language which is used by the person. This is come under the content analysis. Basically, if, for example of content analysis, basically researcher want to develop the advertisement for X company. So basically what the researcher is going to do, they are going to observe what kind of the words and the language which is used by the other companies. So here they are observing the content, here they are observing the words, here they are observing the languages. So this is a come under the content analysis. If we talk about the trace analysis, so here if we talk about the trace analysis, then trace analysis, the meaning of trace, here we are going to observe the mark, here we are going to observe the evidence, and based upon that we try to understand. So basically example is that कि basically अगर दो कार, let's say for example two cars are there, एक कार है जिसपे बहुत ज्यादा धूल मिट्टी लगी है, एक कार है बेसिकली इट इज वहां पे कोई भी मार्क नहीं है, इट इज वेरी क्लीन, राइट, एकदम साफ सुथरी है. सो हियर द रिसर्चर इज ऑब्जर्विंग द ट्रेस, ऑब्जर्विंग द मार्क एंड ऑब्जर्विंग द एविडेंस, एंड बेस्ड अपॉन दैट researcher is going to interpret it. Is another example of the trace analysis. Let's say for example we want to understand कि कौन सी बुक है जो स्टूडेंट ज़्यादा पढ़ते हैं, कौन सा सब्जेक्ट उनको ज़्यादा अच्छा लगता है. सो बेसिकली हम दो सब्जेक्ट का बुक लेंगे, एक बुक है जिसमें मार्क्स ज़्यादा है, स्टूडेंट के फिंगरप्रिंट्स ज़्यादा है. सो दिस इज एविडेंस एंड मार्क्स दैट वी आर ऑब्जर्विंग, और उसके बेसिस पे एक सब्जेक्ट का बुक है ज़्यादा येलो पेजेस हो गए हैं, जिसमें दाग लगे हैं, जिसमें फिंगरप्रिंट्स ज़्यादा है, और एक दूसरा बुक है जिसमें दैट वी कैन से दैट उसके पेजेस एकदम नए जैसे ही है, जिसमें कोई मार्क नहीं है, जिसमें फिंगरप्रिंट नहीं है. सो बेस्ड अपॉन दैट दिस ऑब्जर्वेशन रिसर्चर ट्राई टू इंटरप्रेट दैट कि जिस पे मार्क ज़्यादा है, जिस पे फिंगरप्रिंट ज़्यादा है, वो बुक स्टूडेंट ज़्यादा रीड करते हैं. So this is all about the different type of the observation method. So in that case we have discussed personal, mechanical, audit, content and the trace analysis. So up to this we have discussed about the various method that we can able to use for the data collection, for the qualitative research. In detail we have discussed focus group, depth interview and observation method. Thank you so much. Next video we are going to discuss about how to code the qualitative research method. So in this video we have discussed about what is qualitative research, we have discussed about different type of qualitative research method, and after that we have discussed about the data collection for the qualitative research. In a first part of fundamental of qualitative research, we have discussed about what is qualitative research, methods of qualitative research, and we have discussed about data collection method. In a second, this video, we are going to discuss about the coding of the qualitative data. So basically in this video, we are going to discuss about what is a coding, we are going to discuss different examples of coding, we are going to discuss about different types of coding, and we are going to also discuss how to code the qualitative research data. First, we will start with the coding of qualitative data. So if I talk about what is the meaning of the coding of qualitative data. So basically coding is the process of labeling and organizing your qualitative data. So basically that we have discussed कि through survey, through observation, through interview, through focus group, we have collected the large amount of data. So basically meaning of the coding is we are going to assign them the label, we are going to organize the data, we are going to manage the data. This is known as a coding. Next, here we are going to discuss about the example of a coding. So here there is a one paragraph which is there. I wake up around 8 and I will eat breakfast in the kitchen. I always make tea and eat yogurt and banana while catching up on the news on my phone. So, how we are going to code this paragraph? So, basically, this paragraph is explaining about the breakfast routine, right? So, here we are going to code this paragraph as a breakfast routine. Next sentence is about the pigeon attacked me and stole my sandwich. So basically, this sentence is all about the pigeon. So here we are going to code it as a pigeon because the sentence is explaining about the pigeon. So we have coded this sentence as a pigeon. So basically, if we talk about code, code can be it can be noun, it can be the object, it can be based upon research question, based upon the previous theories, we can able to generate the code. Basically, if we talk about two type of coding method which is there, first one is inductive coding method is there, second one is deductive coding method is there. If we talk about inductive coding, then first we are going to derive codes from the data. So if we talk about inductive coding, so in inductive coding, first researcher is going to read the data line by line. Basically, they gone through the data, and based upon the data, they try to identify some code. Whenever first we are going to do the code, whenever we researcher is not aware about the data, in that case the researcher prefer to do the inductive coding. For example, first time the researcher has taken the responses regarding the preference and regarding the feedback towards the McDonald. First time researcher has taken the review and the feedback and the suggestions regarding McDonald. So the researcher are not aware about the data. In that case, the researcher prefer to do the inductive coding method. First, researcher read all the data in detail, and out of the data, they try to identify some code. So this is come under the inductive coding method. राइट सो बेसिकली जब हम फर्स्ट टाइम डेटा को रिव्यू करते हैं, उस टाइम पे बेसिकली पहले डेटा को रीड करते हैं, रिसर्चर उसको लाइन बाय लाइन पढ़ता है और उसके बेसिस पे कोड डिसाइड करता है. दिस टाइप ऑफ कोडिंग विच इज नोन एज अ इंडक्टिव कोडिंग. राइट, इफ वी टॉक अबाउट डिडक्टिव कोडिंग, डिडक्टिव कोडिंग का मीनिंग है बेस्ड अपॉन रिसर्च क्वेश्चन, बेस्ड अपॉन प्रीवियस फ्रेमवर्क, first the researcher is going to decide some type of the code. Basically deductive coding tab use hota hai when the researcher is familiar with the data. Basically that we have discussed ki after 6 months again the researcher wants to take the review of the respondent and try to understand the suggestions, feedback and the opinion of the customer towards the McDonald. So already researcher has conducted a research before 6 months, so researcher is aware about the price, then the promotional offers, and then the taste are the important factor for selection of any restaurant. So in that case जब second time researcher review करेगा, वो time पे researcher है वो deductive coding methodology adopt करेगा, because the researcher are aware about the data. Right, so basically it is based for the subsequent round of analysis. It use the predetermined set of tags and it is quicker process. If we want to do the inductive coding, then it is a lengthier process, it takes time. First, when we talk about deductive coding, here you can see in this diagram, first we will start with the code and after that we will review the data. Right, so this is a part of deductive coding. If we talk about inductive coding, first we are going to read the data, out of that we are going to find out the code. So first, if we talk about inductive coding start with the reading of the data and out of that the researchers is try to identify the code. When we talk about deductive coding, so deductive coding is a top-down approach. First, it will start with the code and after that we prefer to read the data. Here we are going to discuss about the steps for coding. So up to this we have discussed what is the meaning of coding. We have discussed different type of coding, which is of inductive coding and deductive coding. Next we are going to discuss about if we are having a large amount of data, then if we want to do the code, then what kind of the steps, what kind of the procedure, and how we can able to do the coding of the large amount of the qualitative data. So here we are going to discuss it step by step. First, if we talk about the first step, it is of the creation of the initial code. Second step is read through the transcript. Third one is decide initial codes. Fourth one is the group codes into themes or the categories. And the fifth one is evaluate and revise. And the sixth is write your narratives. So here we are going to discuss it one by one. First, if we talk about the creation of initial code, so here we are going to use the mixed approach. Here we are going to use inductive as well as the deductive approach. So here we are using the hybrid approach for the coding. So first step we are going to discuss, which is of the creating the code based on the research question. So first, here it is example of the deductive coding method, where based upon the research questions we are going to generate the code. So here we have asked in our research, we have asked this kind of the research questions. We have asked the first research question like, what motivate the participants to start weight loss program? So basically if we talk about here, the motivate is a code. So here we are emphasizing, or we want to understand the motivation of the people to start the weight loss program. So that's why here we have mentioned the code it as a motivate. Second hai, which is of question is, what do they find frustrating about the process? So here more emphasizing in, we want to understand the what are the factors are frustrating the customer. So here we are that's why we have mentioned it as a frustration as a code. And the next research question is emphasizing on want to understand about the reactions. So that's why we have coded it as a reaction. So here based upon the research question we have find out the code. Second way of coding is based upon the theory, based upon the existing theory framework we are going to assign the code. So here for example I have taken the Maslow's theory. In Maslow's theory we can see that these are the different types of the need which is there. Basic need is there, psychological need is there, and the self fulfillment need is there. So based upon that we have coded it like self fulfillment need, psychological needs, and the basic need. So first here we have discussed कि अगर हमको code करना है, so one method that we can able to adopt based upon जो हमने research question develop किए हैं, based upon that we can able to do the coding. Second method that we can able to adopt based upon the previous theories and the based upon previous framework we can able to make the code. So this is our first step. Second step that we are going to discuss, read through the transcript. What we are going to do, we are going to read data again and again. Based upon that we are going to modify our code. We are going to generate the new code, we are going to add new code. So this is come under the read through the transcript. So we are going to read the data, and based upon the data we are going to generate the new code. So we are going to add new codes. Second thing, third step is we need to decide what we need to code. So basically if we talk about first thing, which anything related to initial code, so that we have seen in a first step कि based upon research question, based upon the framework we can able to generate the codes. Second thing that we can discuss, which is of anything interesting and surprise you. So basically if in data if something is interesting, something is new to us, in that we can able to code. Or if we are going to find out some patterns or some relation between the data, that we can able to take as a code. Next we are going to discuss about the different type of the coding we are having. So if we talk about, we are having descriptive coding, we are having vivo coding, and we are having the process coding. These are the different types of the coding that we are having. So if we talk about the descriptive coding, so descriptive coding ka meaning, it is a summarize the topic of data. So that we have seen in this particular example, first example, ki basically this paragraph is all about the breakfast routine. That's why we have coded it as a breakfast routine. So this is example of a descriptive type of the code where we are going to summarize the topic of the data, right? Next we are going to use the vivo coding. So basically here we are going to generate the code in exact word which is used by the participant. विवो कोडिंग में हम जो पार्टिसिपेंट ने इंटरव्यू के टाइम पे, फोकस ग्रुप के टाइम पे जो एग्जैक्ट वर्डिंग यूज किए हैं, कोडिंग करने के टाइम पे भी वी आर गोइंग टू यूज दोस एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स. डिस्क्रिप्टिव कोडिंग में जो पैराग्राफ है, जो इंटरव्यू है, उसको समराइज्ड करके हम उसको कोड करेंगे. Process coding, if we talk about process coding, then process coding mein we are going to emphasize on action in the data. We are going to use the words like ing, kind of ing words that we are using. Here we are going to discuss the example of all the type of the coding which is of descriptive, vivo and process. Here first we are going to discuss about the example of a descriptive coding. So in descriptive coding we are going to summarize it. So here one paragraph which is there, our organization is about 1000 employees and I was brought on to join a design team focused on the internal experience. Our team is a hybrid of product and service design targeted our customer. So basically this paragraph is describing about the organization and team. That's why we have coded this paragraph as the organization and team. Here the another paragraph which is mentioned, like there is 3 designer in my team, each of us owns a part of the experience. One of my co-workers work in the funding process, one does the tracking of the investment. So basically if we talk about here, this paragraph is describing or it is explaining about the team role. So here we have coded this paragraph as a team role. So basically if we talk about the descriptive research, so basically we are using the word which will summarize the topic. Those kind of the word that we are use as a code. Here we have seen the first paragraph which is all about the organization in team. So that's why we have coded it as an organization in team. If we talk about example, second example, here this paragraph is all about the team role. So that's why we have coded it as a team role. If we talk about the vivo coding, so that we have discussed, we are using the exact word which is used by the respondent. So here the one paragraph which is there, I think that's one of the fear with people doing interview research is the amount of data. So here we can say that here the in this particular interview or the discussion, the participant has used the word the amount of data. So we have used the exact word which is of amount of data. If we talk about second sentence, then it is they go, I am gonna make such a mess and it's going to feel overwhelming. So basically here the respondent has used the word which is of the feel overwhelming. So in vivo coding we are using the exact word which is used by the participant. So here we have coded it as a feel overwhelming. So if we talk about the vivo coding, we are going to use this exact or the same word which is used by the participants. If we talk about the process coding, so basically here we are emphasizing on the action. Here we are going to use the ing words. So basically if we talk about the first paragraph, in that we have mentioned I generally read through all the transcript and I try to do it right after the interviews. So basically this paragraph is all about the reading the transcript, reading through the transcript, right? So basically this action we are using here the action words. हम क्या काम कर रहे हैं, हम क्या चीज कर रहे हैं, ये पैराग्राफ किसके बारे में बता, लाइक कौन सी एक्शन के ऊपर फोकस कर रहा है, राइट? सो हियर वी हैव कोडेड इट एज अ रीडिंग थ्रू द ट्रांसक्रिप्ट. सेकेंड थिंग, second paragraph is, but I did use the search to look for quotes sometimes, and that was pretty helpful also. So basically here we are emphasizing on the searching for the quotes. So this is all about the three type of the coding. Here we have discussed descriptive coding, vivo coding, and process coding. Descriptive coding is all about the summarizing of the topic. Vivo coding is all about the exact word that we are using, which is used by the participants. And in a process coding, we are going to find out the action in the data, and we prefer to use the word which is ending with ing. So these are the different types of the coding that we have discussed. Next, what we are doing up to this, what we have discussed based upon research question, based upon the previous theories and the framework, we try to develop the code. Second step we have discussed, we are going to read the data again and again, and based upon this data we try to identify the new codes and we are going to add it. Third step, we have discussed what type of the coding method that we need to adopt, whether we need to adopt the descriptive coding, vivo coding, or the process coding, and according to that we are going to made our codes. After that we are going to discuss about the step 4, which is of group codes into categorize. So what we are going to do here, we are going to put the same codes into the categories. If we talk about, if we are having the data related to animals, right, and in that case we have coded it like the dog, cow, lion, flies, beetles. These all are the different code that we did. Now what we are going to do, we are going to put it in a categories. So if you talk about the dog, cow, and the lions, which have the similar kind of the characteristics, so we are going to group them together and we are going to put them in a one categories, which is known as a mammals. If you talk about the flies and the beetles, basically they are having the same kind of a characteristic, so we are going to group them together, we are going to club them together, and we are going to put them in a one category, which is known as the insects. So basically if we talk about the fourth step, which is of shorter codes into categories, determine the broader categories and make connection between the codes. So here we are going to convert, or we are going to group the similar kind of the codes into the categories. This is a fourth step where we are going to club together the same kind of the code and we are going to put them in a one categories. Next, fifth step, which is of the evaluate and the revise the categories. So we are going to evaluate it, we are going to merge the similar categories, we are going to remove some kind of the categories, so that we are, so after that, after reading the data, we are going to finalize our categories. And based upon the categories, we try to identify the relation between the categories, and we are going to write our researcher is going to write the narratives, researcher is going to explain what this data is about, what researcher is going to come out with the findings. So this is all about the narratives. So based upon the that we can say that this coding and the categorizing, we try to understand कि people are satisfied towards the taste of the McDonald's, but the people feel the price of the McDonald's is high, so the McDonald's required to take the corrective actions to reduce the price of the product. This is outcome of this qualitative data analysis. So these are the 6 steps we have discussed in detail. We have discussed about first is initial code, transcript, read through transcript, decide codes, group codes into categories, then finalize code categories, and after that we researcher need to write down the outcomes or the findings. Another example that we are going to discuss related to the coding and the analysis of the qualitative data. Here the reviews, customer reviews related to software which is given. Here for example, I have taken the 3 reviews. right? After that, we are going to convert it into the code and the categories. After that, we are going to assign them a score. It can be the positive, it can be negative, and based upon the positive and the negative sentiment, we can able to assign them the marks or the weight. If it read the first review, then first review is all about this software is amazing, does exactly what I needed to. So basically, first word which is of software is amazing, which is related to product category, product quality. That's why the one category which is come up, which is of the product quality. Here, if we read the second sentence, then however, I do wish they had stopped raising price. So here it is all about the price. So that's why we have mentioned another category which is of the price. Every year, as it's starting to get a little out of my budget, based upon the reviews, we are going to assign. It can be we can assign positive sentiment, we can able to assign negative sentiment, and based upon that we can able to give them the rate also. So here what is mentioned, the software is amazing. That's why we have given the 5 out of 5 score to the product quality, because the customer review said the software is amazing. But if you talk about the price, then in that case the price, I do wish they had stopped raising price. So basically, they are having that we can say that the customer feel the price of this particular software is little bit high. So according to that, we are going to assign the rate. So here, out of 5, we have given the 3 rate to the price category. If we are going to read the second review, love the product, right? So it is all about the product quality. So that's why the one category that we have created, which is product quality. But if you talk about the second sentence, but honestly, I can't deal with the terrible customer service. So here the another category which is come up, which is of the customer service. So we have coded it as a customer service. If you talk about the sentence, it is love the product. That's why it is a positive sentiment. That's why we have given the 5 out of 5 for the product quality categories. But when we talk about it, customer has mentioned it is a terrible customer service, right? So customer has used the word terrible. So that's why we have given the one rate out of 5 to the customer service category. Third review, if we are going to read, then the software is okay. So the software is okay is all about the product quality. That's why we have categorized it as the product quality. But cheaper competitors are just, so this is all about the price. That's why we have mentioned it as a price category. And the last one is just as good with much better customer service. So it is all about the customer service. So we have categorized it as a customer service, and according to the review, we have assigned the rate. The software is okay word that they have used. That's why we have given the 3 rate out of the 5. Same way for the price and the services. So first, here it is just example how we have coded, how we have converted into the categorize, and how we have assigned some rate based upon the review which is given by the customer. After that, what we are going to do, we are going to combine it together. If we talk about the product quality, so we are having in this particular example, we are having the 3 reviews which is related to product quality, so that we have clubbed together, and we have mentioned it is 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, and 3 out of 5. So based upon that, we are going to evaluate it, and we are going to come out with the outcomes, which is maintain the high product quality. So the software company should maintain the high product quality. Customer are satisfied with the product quality offered by the software. If we talk about the price, then the price is having the less rate. So in that case, our outcome is the software company should decrease the price, right? Because the customer review says the price of the software is high. If we talk about the customer service, then from that we can, the outcome is that we should improve our customer service. We should give the training to our customer service department, right? Because the customer are not satisfied with the services which is offered by the department. So these all are the outcomes of the qualitative research based upon the customer review. If we want to analyze the qualitative data, we are having so many different type of the software which is available. Through the different type of the software, we can able to analyze the qualitative data. We have discussed, if we talk about qualitative data, then either it can be available in text form, either it can be available in image form, either it can be available in audio form. So in a different format, the qualitative data which is available. So through software, we can able to analyze the qualitative data. So here there are some different type of name of different type of the software which is available. Through that, we can able to analyze the qualitative data. The Nivo software is available, Atlas, then Quickos, then Max QDA, qualitative data analysis minor, and the qualitative data analysis minor light software which is available, right? So in this particular session, we have discussed about how to code the qualitative data. Basically, in this session, we have discussed meaning of qualitative data. We have discussed methods. We have discussed data collection methods like focus group, personal depth interview, then observation. These are the different types of the method, data collection method that we can able to use for qualitative data. We have discussed about how to code it. We have discussed different type of coding, like we have discussed inductive coding, deductive coding, and we have discussed about different types of code, like the descriptive coding method is there, vivo coding method is there, and another different coding methods that we have discussed. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time and the patience. So here I will end the session. Just note down my mail ID. My mail ID is preyal dot desai@gmail.com. If you are having any doubt related to this, you can contact me. You can mail me on the detail which is given by me. Thank you so much once again.